Welcome, Statesmen Nation. We are sitting down today here with Coach Luke Jansen, and this is going to be our men's lacrosse season preview. Coach, would you like to just give us sort of a recap of last season and how that season went for you guys?
Yeah, so last season was our third full season of competition, and as we've had every single season, we've kind of made strides, different accomplishments. Last year, obviously, ended up winning the regular season conference championship, and set our regular season win record with going 13-6. But I think the biggest thing that we really set last year was just kind of the expectations and kind of the culture of excellence. That hey, we're not satisfied with just winning record. We're not satisfied with just winning the regular season conference championship. Of that, we want to be more than that. And so I think that's the biggest thing that we took away from last year was, hey, we accomplished a lot of great things, and we've done a lot of great things in the program so far. But that doesn't mean anything if ultimately there's a job left to be done. And so I think that's what we're excited about going into this season.
Yeah, so then going off that, just kind of want to take us through the team that is returning here and maybe some of the newer players that are on the team.
Yeah. So this year, very different than any previous kind of off-season and season we've had, where it's by far the least amount that we've ever brought in, and that was somewhat intentional. And I know that brings angst to my bosses of that we didn't bring in as many as we normally do, but it was intentional that we knew we needed to guard the culture, and we needed to be able to really focus on the guys in the program and make sure that we were getting the right guys on the bus. And so we really did a good job of, I think, ratcheting up the intensity in the fall, ratcheting up the accountability, and we have the right guys on the bus going into this season. There's more accountability, there's more buy-in. There's more, more culture that's developed there within the guys, and they're taking that accountability themselves. And so that's where it's really exciting that's changed. And so that demonstrated itself in the fall. We had our best fall ball that we've ever had, as far as kind of scrimmages and progress that we've made. So that's something. Sometimes with fall, it's hard to tell, if you really did make progress, and what are we doing, because sometimes you'll scrimmage somebody where it's like, yeah, great, we beat them by 10, but it wasn't really a great opponent. But so this fall we played some really good opponents. Each and every one of our opponents, two of the three were conference champions in at their respective level, D2 and D3, and the other was a very solid D2 program, and we did really well in those scrimmages. We improved in one of them from a game that we had lost 10+ to losing by 1 goal, and so those were really good signs of progress for us. The things that we were implementing were working this year.
So as far as that, who are some of those impact players who are returning to the team?
Yeah, so obviously, starting off on the offensive end, Breck Putzier is returning. All he's done is score goals and put up points since he got here, and I think that's going to be there for him, right? That's always going to be there. He's going to score goals. He's going to put up points. But I think the difference is I think there's a little bit more of maturity that's there now as an upperclassman, and understanding how to run the offense, how to quarterback the system, how to settle down the guys. And we saw that a lot in the scrimmages, that he wasn't pushing and trying to do too much. And so he's taken some big steps forward. Wyatt Christensen returns for his sophomore year, and he's looking better than he ever has. And obviously he led the country for freshmen in scoring last year. And he's had moments where he's, challenging Breck for looking like our best offensive player, so that's obviously good. Boston Romero's back in the midfield, and he's shooting better than ever, and so that's, it's a good thing. Kenny Bonney's another one that I think is poised to have, a big season. He put in a lot of work during the summer, and then he put a lot of work in the classroom to make sure that, he's in a good position this year. Tim Pennington's back for his senior year. If he can stay healthy and stay on the field, there should be really good things there for him. Nate Blazingame's another one that I think is going to be take a big step forward where, we're going to use him as somewhat of a Swiss Army knife this year, and I think that's going to have a really big impact for us offensively. And then a few more offensively, Jeff Cole and Max Taylor, they've really continued to improve. Like they did really well last year in their roles, and both of them have continued to improve, and they're going to be on the field. And then also in that midfield, Seth Reed, he's continued to improve as well. And I think now that he's in his kind of upperclassman, I think he should be carving out a role. And then Eli Dillon in that midfield role as a senior, I think, should be pressing for some time and making a good impact that senior year. Defensively, that's where we had our main additions, is kind of on the defensive side. So obviously we return the majority of our defense. Eric Garrigan returns in goal, and he's looking like he's made some good improvements and having his best year by far. Bradley Howell and Pete Street return on the defensive side there. Colin Boliva and Blake Cyberone, Riley West return to the D-Midi part. And then the big additions that we have are kind of, so one position change we have is Marcus Davis moving from D-Midi back to close defense, or LSM. And I think that's been a really good move of getting a long pull back in his hands. He's much more disruptive there. And then the two big additions that we have, first is true freshman Noah Brager playing close defense. He was an absolute steal for us to be able to snag him, and he's come in right away. And he just acts like he's not a freshman. He seems like he's been on the team for 3 or 4 years. You don't have to worry about him on the classroom, off the field. Does everything right, and so he's gonna have a great season. And then the big addition is getting Max Standage back at LSM. Arguably one of the best players we've ever had in the program. He had a great freshman year in 2021 with 100+ ground balls, and that impact should just continue right on now that we get him back and we have a lot more talent around him.
Yep, so then going off of that, all those players, we come into where it's about scrimmage time, about time for games to start happening. So you kind of want to take us through some of our non-conference games heading into our conference games?
Yep, so have a scrimmage this weekend, which will really test us and will give us a good indicator, of things we need to work on and tighten up. Then our first game is next Wednesday against St. Mary, and so that'll be a good opportunity for the guys to get full field, since we don't get to go full field much, this
Right.
time of year. So it'll be a good opportunity to get up and down, work on the chemistry, get everything tightened up going into 2 really important out-of-conference games down in Tennessee. So we'll play Tennessee Wesleyan is kind of our first, big matchup, and Tennessee Wesleyan is going to be a really, really tough team. We've already started scouting them, and we played them 3 years ago and lost by 1 goal at their place. Luckily, this game's a neutral site on turf and not on their awful grass. But they're going to be super tough. They'll be the underdogs against us in that one, but that one's going to be a really tough one. But luckily, I think the guys remember the game from 3 years ago and are ready for that one. And then we obviously have Kaiser the next day.
Yep.
And they're the #1 team in the country. They're reigning national champs. And so that's going to be a great opportunity to kind of see where we stack up. And we feel good that we've got an opportunity to go make some noise there. Then the following week, we'll be back in the Midwest, go down and play Lourdes College. I'm at a neutral site down in St. Louis. And Lourdes is always a tough physical team, and so that'll be a really good one, to test ourselves against a WAC team. Then we are back in West Des Moines at the indoor complex playing Siena Heights. Siena Heights is a very tough, physical team. They were in the national tournament last year. They return most of their players. I think they lost maybe just 1 or 2 starters, so they'll be really, really tough, and so that's going to be a great opportunity to have a ranked matchup, and so that'll be a really fun one. Then out of conference wise, then we've got a really cool matchup down in St. Louis the next weekend where we play Taylor. We had a very fun game with Taylor last year, at least scoring wise. As far as defense and as a coach, like it was an absolute headache. But that'll be a fun one. Hopefully the guys can go out and kind of right the ship and get some revenge on that one. We won, but we need to make a little bit better statement there. And then we have Missouri Baptist as well. And then we finish out kind of the non-conference stuff. We have Ottawa here at home, and that's always a really tough game. Like, we are their Super Bowl. Like, I don't know what it is, but like, we are Ottawa's Super Bowl every time, and for whatever reason, like, our guys mail it in every time. So like, we need to really right the ship in that game. Then we have Indiana Tech during spring break week at a neutral site down in Kansas. And Indiana Tech's the number 2 team in the country. They've been to the national championship game the last 3 years. They're kind of the Buffalo Bills of NAI lacrosse. Buffalo Bills from the '90s. But they're a great team. Like, I may have them as maybe my favorite for this year. Like, they're always a great team. Their coaching staff's probably done one of the best jobs in the country of consistently recruiting and developing their guys. And then we have a few more games to kind of tune up for conference play, where we'll go over to Midland in Nebraska. That's always kind of a spirited, rowdy bunch over there. So that'll be a good one to wake us up for conference play. And then we go up to Minnesota to play a D3 opponent in Northwestern, which will be a really fun one, especially for some of our Minnesota guys to get up there and have a game close to home. And then we're into conference play.
Yeah. So how are we feeling about the conference this year?
It's going to be fun. I think there's going to be a lot of parity. I think there might be more parity in the conference than than previous years, where I think some of the teams that have been down in the past are getting to level up a little bit. And then there's also there's a lot of unknowns within some of the teams that have been the staples within the kind of the heart and your Midwest NAI. Have graduated a lot of guys finally, right, with the 5th years and stuff. So it's there's going to be a lot of unknowns with these other schools, I think, more so than us, and that's going to be fun to see how that plays out. Because you'd like to say, well, of course we'd like to see them take a step back, but young guys always find a way to step up and make plays when you're not expecting it.
Yeah, and you guys have had a lot of success in the conference, but just kind of to wrap this up here, what are your expectations overall for the season? What goals do you have for this team?
So the expectation is to get better with each opportunity that we have there, right? So we've put a lot of work in, and we've, given the guys a great opportunity to go prove themselves at every stage of the season. And what we want to see is that we continue to get better, and that we're playing our best lacrosse in April and into May. Yep. And you can take that for however you want it, but we want to be playing really good lacrosse in May. And we want it to continue to get better as we're going forward. And that's the expectation. You got a chance. We were a good team last year, and there's nothing that should keep us from being significantly better than last year.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Coach. Good luck the rest of the season, as you guys are about to start soon. And so, again, thank you for joining us.